Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Brandi from BrandiStamps.com. I have a super video for you today. It's going to be packed with crafty fun. We are making 8 different cards. Well, 2 each of 4 different designs. 8 cards total. And this is actually a video from my BrandiStamps Card Club. So if you're in my card club, welcome. Can't wait to stamp with you club members today. If you're not in my card club, watch along so that you can see all of the fun, cute designs. I don't mind at all if you copy them, make cards based on them or whatever. And maybe as you watch, you'll get excited about giving my card club a try. This video is from February 2025, and we're featuring the With You in Mind stamp set. So this is one that is from the Stampin Up catalog. It's in the mini catalog right now. So card club members, grab your stamp set or a similar set if that's what you're using today, and let's go ahead and get started stamping. Let's start off by taking a little tour through everything that was received in the card club packet this month. So we've got a designer series paper pack. This was one of the celebration papers. It's called Fruit Salad, and I have given you a quarter pack. Now you'll be using some of this to make your cards, and you'll have lots left over to use on other projects too. I've also included these gems. They are called the low profile dots, just these little pink and gold gems. We'll be using them on the cards today, and you'll have lots left over to use on a different project too. And then we've also got this ribbon. This is a new white woven ribbon. It's really nice to work with. We're actually going to use it on all 4 of our card designs. We're going to use it in 4 different ways, which is kind of exciting. And then you'll have some left over to make other projects with as well. So those are all included with the card kit. Plus, of course, you've got the pieces to make all of our card designs. So I've got everything sorted and labeled. Here's card 1, 2, 3, and 4, and as you can see, a lot of care and prep has gone into these. We've got like embossed pieces, die cut pieces, other ribbon pieces. Everything has been carefully sorted and prepped for you to create a perfect experience when you are ready to stamp your 8 cards with envelopes. So this whole set is total payment from my customers was $34 for this. These products value $20 total, and then a few extra dollars to cover the card kits. So I hope you guys feel like this is a great value for what I'm providing for my card club members, because I sure do think this is fun to do this. So I want you to grab all the stuff that came in your kit, and then of course pull out the stamp set. I am using the With You in Mind set. This is in our current mini catalog. If you don't have this one, no big deal. Grab out a set that has kind of larger sentiments and maybe some small supporting images as well. What I really want you to do is pull out your stamps and get them inky. So I totally support you using different stamps if you've got a collection that you haven't been using lately. Get creative and then show me what you made with the card kit. I love that. Every month, I always let you know which colors I'm going to be using on the cards. A lot of people have the colors or they have something similar. Or if you want to, you can always add on the stamps and ink to your card kit and usually offer a little bit of a discount during the sign-up period. So this time it was Pretty Peacock, Granny Apple Green, and Coastal Cabana. So pull out those 3. And then you're always going to want to have a few basics on hand as you're crafting, such as your paper trimmer. You're going to want some scissors. I like to use my take your pick tool. I usually use this to place my gems. And then your favorite adhesives. I like to use Seal Plus for all my paper to paper. I'll be using both regular and mini dimensionals today. And mini glue dots are another one of my favorites. So pull out kind of your crafty supplies and we are ready to go. All right, and let's get started with card number 1. So when you open up your first card pack, each of them are packed with enough for everything to make 2 cards. So I'm just gonna split everything into 2 piles here, because in the video, I'll just make 1 of the cards. And so as you're going along, feel free to pause the video and work on your second card as well, so you can do 2 at a time. Now, I always send a PDF of instructions as well, so you can refer to that if there's something you weren't sure about, or you can just feel free to watch along in the video and just do everything that I do. I'm going to grab the 4 little paper strips that I cut. These were 4 inches by 1 1/4, and they do these 4 different types of the designer paper. Of course, I cut 2 of everything because I'm making 2 cards, but in the video, we'll just do 1. Okay, so let's get started with the stamping. I usually like to do this first so that everything can have a chance to dry. This one uses the Granny Apple Green ink, and you've got a little circle that I have punched from the 2 3/8 circle punch, and so you're just going to stamp right onto that. I'm going to go as high as I can and still fit the thank you. And then on this little scrap, this is a piece of soft sea foam. I'm going to stamp on there with the leaf. Now, while I have this out, I'll go ahead and stamp on my envelope as well. Always optional, but I like to do a cute little matchy envelope if I have the time and a good stamp for it. So it'll be cute to coordinate. We'll set these aside to dry just a little bit, and we can start to glue these designer series paper strips onto the card. So I'm going to use my Seal Plus and just run adhesive all the way across. And you're going to have a frame all the way around, so don't line it up with the edge of the card. You should have about equal space on both sides and at the bottom of the card. I'm going to stick down the top and the bottom first, and then we'll work in from there to try to get some equal spacing. Okay, and now let's kind of lay these down so we can see how they're going to be. Want them a little closer. Okay, now I'll slide this one off. Adhere it. And one more. This is such a fun card layout to remember. Anytime you have like designer series paper pieces left over, or you have a pack maybe where you like a lot of the different pieces and want to show a lot of them, what an easy way to kind of showcase several of the different designs on one card front. Okay, we're going to go to our ribbon roll, and we'll be using 16 inches of this ribbon. And let's go ahead and tie it right around here right now. So on this first one, I'm going to do a square knot. And all that means is it'll have kind of a pretty center, and the ends will be even with how the sides were. You can also do a granny knot, which means the ends will be opposite of how the base of your knot is. So let me show you what that means. We'll come across, I've got 2 ends, I'll point them both upwards so I can see which one's which. This is my right, here's my left. I'm going to put the right one on top. It actually doesn't matter which side you start with, as long as you do it the other way the second time. So I want to hold that in place with one finger, just whichever finger you can spare. Put both ends upward again, and this time I'll put the left one on top, okay? And that's it. If I do that where I reverse it, then as I pull this tight, I should get kind of a flat piece in the center right there in the front, and these ends should go the same direction as the base. Now, if I had tied that right over right, right over right, the ends would have went like this. And same thing if I did left both times. I think that's what most people do by default. Usually you have a muscle memory with knot tying, and you're going to do it the same way every time, unless you tell yourself to reverse it. So there we go, here's our little ends. And now let's go ahead and use Stampin' Dimensionals to stick the thank you down. I never like to try to stick onto ribbon, so when I place the dimensionals, I'm going to do 2 that I know are at the top, like above the words thank you, so they can go up here. I'm going to do 2 that are down low. Anything here is going to be sticking down to ribbon, which really isn't very effective anyway. So, hey, let's get this guy right on here. Kind of make sure the words thank you are looking straight along with our designer papers. Stick it down. This little guy is next. we're going to grab our scissors and we're going to cut this out. This is called fussy cutting when you don't have a die to cut it, you're just using scissors, but it is not as fussy as it sounds. Now, listen to my tips. Don't cut close to the stamped image. See what a big fat space I'm leaving out around my leaf? That makes it so I don't have to dip very far in here to do the details. And it also makes it very forgiving. So this line obviously isn't perfectly straight because I'm not a perfect girl, but you can't tell because it's not against that stamped image, which probably is perfect because some amazing artist over at Stampin' Up drew it. So I'm just going to go right out around here. I am not turning my scissors. So this cutting hand is anchored. The scissors aren't moving at all. The only movement is coming from this hand. I'm using my left hand to do all the twisty turny to go in and out of the spaces. And then the other thing is kind of keep this piece you're cutting in the middle of the blade. So once you've closed a little ways, open back up. Never all the way open, never all the way closed. I'm going to just kind of work in the center. So as I cut, and I'm getting close to the end, I'll stop, open it back up. And that helps you have more control if you're working in the center of the scissors. Okay, and that looks perfect, even though it's totally not. Okay, so let's use our mini glue dots to stick this little guy down, and I'll just lay it right onto the glue dot and lift it, and I'll put one right up there on the leaf and one down on the stem. And now I can easily tuck this right back here, just kind of get it to where you like how it looks. I want a lot of it to show because it's cute. I'll have it about like that. Finishing touch, I'm going to use 3 of my little gems that came in your kit. So I'm doing a large and a small right up here. And then down here, kind of just opposite, go for a little one. Fun. I like to do these in 3s and 2 and 1. I mean, it's just easy peasy. It's like a formula. I do it all the time. And here we go. That is card number 1. Here are my pieces for card number 2. And here are the designer series papers that I've cut. These are 4 by 2.5, and you need 2 of them for each card. I am going to do 2 different cards because I just gave you 1 sheet of each designer paper, and so these are such large pieces. You won't have enough to do 2 apples or 2 pomegranates. So I recommend that you do 1 of each, and these petal pink card bases will match it super well. So in the video, I'm just going to put the apple one together, but I'll show you both in a minute here. We're also going to cut 25 inches of ribbon. So let's set that right up here. And we'll go ahead and get started with the stamping. I'm using the Granny Apple Green ink again, and we'll ink up the happy birthday. And this is cut just about right so that you will be able to fit happy birthday right on here. So line up the word happy with the top of your paper. You want that just about centered. And then on the envelope, let's go ahead and use this little cupcake. It's a happy birthday card, so what the heck. I didn't use this cupcake on any of the other cards, and it's cute, isn't it? And so let's just stick it on that envelope if you feel like it. Okay, let's go ahead and stick our designer paper onto these little panels. And I did line mine up, so see the design matches up here. It's going to be slid apart just a little bit so that it has a frame of the petal pink around it. So just use your Seal Plus and make sure this is straight all the way around. Okay, that's looking great. Now for this card, I'm actually going to tie a bow on the card, and I'm going to use it to close and open the card. So let's go ahead. I want my bow to be kind of off to the right here. So I'm making sure both my tails are a similar length. Scoot it this way a little. Okay, that looks good. And then I'll just start with a regular knot, and then I will use a finger to hold that in place. And now whichever of the ends is downward, you're going to use that one to make a loop. I'm only doing a very basic shoelace knot, but if you use the down one to make the loop, use the other one to go around, but make sure you wrap in the back. Don't come around to the front. You're gonna wrap behind. And then just tuck it through. Once you pull that tight, you can adjust it a little bit till you like the look of your cute little knot. This can also slide, so you can shift it till you like how it looks. We'll trim these ends. Okay, now this happy birthday is going to get mounted right onto the early espresso piece. It has kind of a big frame around it to give it just a nice look. There isn't a lot else going on this card. It's just this. So we're going to use this on the side. Now I want this over the top, but I still need it to be able to open. So I'm going to put dimensionals here and here and here and here. So I'm looking right, that's about where I want them. So I know right there. And below, I don't want any dimensionals here because that part needs to be able to lift right off and not stick down to the card. This is a fun little gatefold card. Okay, let's tuck one end kind of right up next to my bow. And it should come in far enough that I still see the paper a little bit off to this left edge. And stick it down. Perfect. And to finish this off, we're going to use a little pink gem or two. I told you I always do these in threes, so surprise, I'm doing a little one, with a big one next to it. Whoops. Something like that. Okay, and I did get together with my friends to make the cards at home for those who live close to me. And I saw some people come back and add some adhesive back here. That way when your recipient unties it and opens their card, they won't lose the bow entirely. So if you feel like doing that, you could, or if you don't want to tie it all the way shut, you could just tie a bow and glue dot it to the front here next to the words, and it has a very similar look. This is still a little gatefold card that just opens from both sides. And so let's go ahead and pull in the other one. You'll have a pomegranate version as well. Isn't that so fun? And that is card number 2. Okay, here are the pieces for card number 3. I'm just going to separate them out here so we can do 2 of them. This one, I used kind of a large purple heart from one of our glimmer paper packs, but I was prepping for lots and lots of people to be able to do my card club cards. I just send these out all over the country. By the way, if you're wanting to check it out, there should be a link in my description where you can click and get all the details for how to join. But anyway, I knew that I would run quickly out of purple glimmer paper and have lots of the other 2 colors left if I didn't plan accordingly. So I made the second card. It's exactly the same, but it's got this petal pink heart. So we're going to be doing 2 slightly different versions on this one as well. So let's go ahead. I'll tuck away this one, but I'll still show it to you at the end. The designer paper on this one is cut 5.5 to 2.5, and of course I needed 2 of those. And then you're going to use your white ribbon again, and this time I cut 4 inches. Okay, let's start with a little bit of stamping. This darling little label, it's got a hole on one end. Let's turn the hole to the left, and we're going to stamp the words best wishes. Get lots of nice ink on there. And the best wishes should fit kind of right about in the circle portion of this die. See what I mean there? And then I also used this flower stamp, but you're going to stamp off. So look, I'm taking part of the ink off and I still got some ink on here. I'm going to come over here and stamp. So see how that's lighter than this one? And that's what I'm going for. I just want a few lighter flowers right around here. Something like that. And then you've got a little scrap of white. Let's stamp a flower on here. This one's full strength. Set those aside to dry. Throw some flowers on our envelope. And we are ready to do a little bit of assembly. Let's take our card base. This is Pool Party. And this piece is going to be glued all the way across. It's about 3/4 of an inch down from the fold. So flip to the back. Look how cute this fruit is. Ah, it's so sad to say goodbye to it. Don't worry though, you've got a little paper left to use on a different project. Okay, and then we'll just line this up. I'm using my grid paper to help me get it exactly straight from here to here, right like that. Next, I'll stick my heart on here. I like to use the mini glue dots to attach the glimmer paper. It's got like just a little bit of a glossy backing. And so the mini glue dots, they do a good job holding on. Just do a few of them on the back here. And then I want the heart to land on this left side, just about maybe a finger's width showing here, and not all the way to the top of the designer paper. So the point will come down onto the bottom, something like that. Okay, let's jump over to this flower and we're going to cut it out using all the tips I showed you on the leaf. Do not go too close into this flower design. You can dip a little bit in and out of the petals, but don't try to cut all the way around this guy. It'll end up looking kind of wonky and you'll think, oh, I'm not good at fussy cutting, but all it is that you cut too close. Next, I'm going to thread my little 4-inch piece of ribbon through this little hole. So this is kind of a tag die. I'm letting it go halfway through, so I've got 2 inches on each side there, and it's going to come way over like this. And then I will just tie this piece of linen thread around here. So I gave you this in your kit. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot first. That'll help me sort of catch it right where I want the knot to be. And now we'll just tie this in a bow. I'm using the same trick I showed you before where the end that was down, I made the loop with that. I wrapped the other one behind. That gives us a perfect bow. Can adjust it and trim this end. Okay, we got a good amount of dimensionals kind of all over that tag. And I'm going to place it, make sure it's kind of straight, close to the edge, but I want some of the paper showing here, and it shouldn't extend very far down below where that paper is at. About like that. Okay, I'm going to grab this little flower that we cut out, and I'll use just a couple of mini glue dots. I didn't want to make this guy stand up too much, but I'm going to stack a couple of mini glue dots there. Just tuck it right down here. Corner of the tag, not overlapping the best. And then I'll pull in my dots. Let's do a large one. I'm using a gold one in the center of the flower here. And this card is looking amazing. Let's grab our pink one as well. So here are both versions of this card. Notice this one I used the pink gem in the center, and other than that, they're the same. Card number 3. Okay, here are the pieces for card number 4. We're already on the last one, you guys. And here are the 2 designer papers that we have cut to add to the card. Let's go ahead and start with the stamping. We're going to use Pretty Peacock. which is the same color as these pieces. Incidentally, I talked to you about the pink and the purple glimmer paper. Well, in the paper pack that has those, I also got this pretty peacock paper. And so I thought, well, I might as well use that on one of the other cards if I'm gonna need a bunch of it and use a bunch of it. So this one we get a little butterfly and a strip, which is so fun. And that's how I ended up incorporating peacock into our card hues. So let's ink up Thinking of You. And this time I'm going to stamp right on the designer paper, which I love doing, but I want it all the way over to the right because of how my design is. I'll be putting the butterfly and stuff on the left. Okay. And then for my envelope, one of the other stamps in the set is this cute little heart. So I thought, well, I might as well do a heart. So let's do 1, 2, 3, because Pretty Peacock is a nice dark color. So kind of put that up there to dry too. Oh, I don't think I mentioned the sizes. This piece is 3 by 4 1/4. So if you're cutting, you're going to want to cut that one. And then the yellow one is 4 1/2 by 1 3/4. And if you are wanting to copy the whole card, the dimensions are always right there in the PDF. So all the different dimensions and the pieces I used are in there. This card uses 11 inches of the ribbon. So let's cut that. And then I'm going to cut it up the center. I always call this bisecting it. I don't know, I like sounding really scientific. We're gonna just use nice sharp scissors to cut all the way up the center. So I'm basically creating 2 skinny ribbons instead of 1 thicker ribbon. Once you've got the ribbon trimmed all the way up the center, just use a fingernail to catch some of the loose threads that are on the edge there and pull them right off. It gives that ribbon a little bit of more texture on the inside edge. You might have a little bit of an imperfect cut along the edge because, you know, being perfect is hard. And so that frayed edge helps to hide it as well. So this will be enough for my one card, and I'll save the other one for my second card. Okay, let's go ahead and start doing some assembly. The first thing is this green piece of paper. And it's going to attach to my Lemon Lolly card base. The fold is over here on the side. And I want it just about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So I'm using my grid sheet to help me line that up. So here's the 1/4. And then I'm attaching a strip of glimmer paper on. And I like to use mini glue dots to do that. It's got kind of this slick backing and this sticks to it. I'm going to go almost a whole inch from the fold, but not quite, about 7/8. Next, let's grab this little embossed piece of the Pretty Peacock. I've given it this kind of eyelet texture, and I want this piece to stick onto it, just close to the top and overlapping a little bit, about like this, just hanging off this edge a little, down just a little from the top. I'm going to use mini glue dots to attach it just because the Pretty Peacock layer is textured, and so I want a glue that can kind of sink down in and attach to it. These mini glue dots, they almost remind me of little blobs of hot glue, the way they work. But it sinks right down in and helps stick to that. Now I'm going to wrap around here with this ribbon and just tie a knot. We did a square knot already. This time I'm going to use a granny knot. So both ends up right over the top. And right over the top again. Let's see how that's different. Okay, so these ends, instead of coming and being even here, now they're going away, which is the look I wanted. I'm going to attach this butterfly right next to the knot. And so I want those ends to come out. It almost gives the illusion of the fluttering with the butterfly. Now this glimmer paper has been cut with a die, but there may be pieces hanging on. My little piece has some. So let's grab our piercer, that's on my end. right here. And I'll just knock these extra little bits out with my piercer. If you don't have a piercer, you know, anything with a tip that can just push those. And I'm pushing from the back side so I don't do any damage. And they are cut through, so they're not gonna have a hard time coming out, but that just helps it get done. Now I'm using a mini dimensional. It's about the perfect size to go right onto the body of that butterfly and just hide there. And we'll position it right here next to the knot, but I'm sticking this mini dimensional to the paper so that it's not trying to attach to a ribbon. That never goes well. Okay, so this piece is about ready to come and attach over here, and you should be able to line up your ribbon with the glimmer strip so it's right about in the center. And the back of our textured piece is going to need mini glue dots to go down. So like I said, it helps so much if you use with textured paper, just use mini glue dots. Right about here. And something else I did, I felt this end was kind of just hanging off. I don't want it to reach down and glue to this. And so I'm going to sneak in a couple of dimensionals under that flap as well. I'm using the mini ones because they're a little shorter. And that gives this just the right amount of depth here. Let's trim our ribbon ends. Let's add some of our little golden dots here. Your little guy there. A big and a little up here. And we've got card number 4. Let's go ahead and pull all of our work from today into the frame here. Oh my goodness, isn't this such a cute array of cards? It's this beautiful fruit salad paper that we used, and of course the awesome With You in Mind stamp set that we featured today. I hope you enjoyed making these cards with me, or watching and learning and hopefully copying these designs later. Check out my card club if you're not already in it. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, and I will catch you here next time. Bye!